Should Harvard University be that important in American socioeconomic life? That is, should Harvard University be that important in socioeconomic life? So basically, Harvard University is embroiled. Harvard University president Claudine Gay is embroiled in a bitter dispute on whether she should resign following the rise of anti-Semitic comments at Harvard. Basically, what she is being criticized for is that she failed to condemn the group of students that signed a letter blaming Israel for their mass attacks. She failed to expel them from the university or even have them or even basically just condemn the whole scenario. So basically, and when she appeared before Congress, when asked whether the genocide against Jews constituted bullying and harassment, of course, she said it was context dependent. So this is what Howard President Claudine Gay, and of course there have been allegations that have come along that she plagiarized her PhD thesis. Of course, none other than Republican Congresswoman Eliza Stefanik is saying that Claudine Gay plagiarized her PhD statement. So should Howard be that important in our lives? Should Howard be that important? And I think maybe that's the thing we need. I think we need more American colleges to have the stage of Howard. Of course, Howard is America's oldest college. It is the richest university in the world with an endowment of about $50 billion. So basically, it trains the aristocracy of America and maybe even the world. It has produced, I think, 5 U.S. presidents, including the latest one, Barack Obama, and I think also George W. Bush. So Howard has given America its 5 presidents, but then, of course, countless senators, countless members of Congress, countless CEOs, and countless billionaire entrepreneurs. So Harvard has very much someone. If you go to Harvard, I think it is assured that you will be successful later on in life. Of course, now some say the brand name of Harvard has gotten a beating. That is, Harvard is no longer a place where the geniuses go, basically because of DEI efforts, because of diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Now it's all about racial diversity, which has watered down the quality of the Harvard degree. But of course, for minorities, they all say yes, they wouldn't afford Harvard education in the generations past, but they say their forefathers helped build Harvard. So maybe they also deserve the Harvard education. But then again, should the students really look only to Harvard? I think there needs to be an improvement in the quality of second-tier, third-tier universities, and especially the public university system. I think if the public university system improves, then more students will opt for public colleges, such as maybe the Michigan State University or the University of California public university system. But now, because of the quality that is offered at Harvard is miles away from the quality offered at maybe public universities or even community colleges, then I think so many students apply to Harvard, and that's why Harvard every year after year has always had a record low admission rate, because I think for the class of 2027, the admission rate was only, for the class of 2027, I think the admission rate was just 3.43%. That means for every 100 students that apply to Harvard, only about 3 students were admitted. So you can see, and I think Harvard has always maintained that it could fill its classes. Harvard has always maintained that it could fill its classes with the rejected students. It could fill 2 or 3 classes with the rejected students. So they are just as good as the admitted students. And those who worked in the admissions department, such as Ed Magema of Kenya, he says that those rejected are so stellar that he often wondered why he was admitted in the first place. Of course, there is what they call the imposter syndrome, that is, those who have been admitted to Harvard say maybe sometimes they feel inferior. Those who have been admitted to Harvard say they do feel inferior, and basically sometimes really consider themselves, they see their roommates, they see their classmates, they see them as maybe accomplishing so many things in life, or just doing so many side projects that they consider themselves, they are afraid to have been admitted to Harvard. But I think maybe I think we should have Harvard level education in other private and state universities, especially state universities that are struggling. I think there are many Americans are questioning the value of college education. I think I think around 2013, about 74% of Americans favored higher favored said that college education benefited students, but that percentage has gone down to 41%. Now it is only about 41% of Americans that feel that a college education is worth it. And so I think this is because they have seen colleagues go to college, maybe gather so much in student debt, accumulate so much in student debt so that they are not even able to repay it once they graduate, and the dwindling job numbers. And of course you have some people such as the former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice questioning the value of college education, academics over skills. They say there should be more skills-based hiring, and of course some employers are now considering hiring for skills alone, especially in fields such as computer science and information technology. There is training that basically you can't go for training without even a degree from Harvard or MIT or Stanford. You could go to and train and be a first-class programmer. So I think there will be calls for more skills-based hiring. And I think maybe why can't these universities open their doors to many more students? They say this will not happen anytime soon because these universities want to admit as fewer students as possible so that they retain their brand name. If Harvard had branches all over American cities, then basically it will not have the brand name recognition. Part of the Harvard brand name recognition, or maybe even Yale or MIT or Stanford or Princeton, is that a few students ever get admitted, and that is how the employers then signal that if you went to Harvard, then basically that is, if you went to Harvard, then basically you are a sort of a genius. And so if that degree becomes so widespread so that maybe even 100,000 students are admitted, then the value of that degree will begin going down. And I don't think Harvard administrators want it that way, so they want the brand of Harvard to remain exclusive so that the few students that manage to get through the door are then assured of economic opportunities later on in life. And I think someone says, and maybe even the reason why those students that signed the letter that condemned Israel for the Hamas attacks, that is, if you going through the gate is very difficult. That is what the scholar, educationist William Darasowitz argues in his essay of Disadvantages of Elite Education. William Darasowitz argues that basically getting through the door of Harvard is very hard, but even Yale, it's very hard. But once you get in, there's almost nothing you can do to get kicked out, and maybe that is why it will just not be fair at all for you to struggle to get in and then be kicked out. And maybe that is why the students at Harvard, those who signed the letter condemning Israel for their mass attacks, maybe that is why they were not kicked out of the university or maybe severely reprimanded. And I think that's according to the educationist William Darasowitz, who argues it in his widely acclaimed essay, The Disadvantages of Elite Education. But I think there needs to be Harvard-level institutions at least in every state, maybe 10 of them, so that it can expand opportunities for the students from lesser known backgrounds. Of course, some have said that basically Harvard has moved to increase the diversity, the income, where it draws the low end income bracket from where it draws its students. And I think for the class of 2027, those who get less than, those whose parents earn less than, whose families earn less than an income of $75,000 a year do not contribute anything towards their tuition fee. So basically, that means it goes all its way to ensure that it offers a full scholarship to those who earn less than $75,000 a year. And so, of course, but then, of course, there is that whole industry of preparing for colleges. So those who are likely to do well and be admitted to Harvard most likely have been prepped up. They have been prepped up in SAT coaching sessions, and that is why I think they do well in the cities. They remain top-notch in their class, 4.0 GPS, and of course these days you could get a student that has a perfect SAT scores, 1600, and has a perfect GPA of 4.0 GPA, but they are not admitted to Harvard because there are simply too few slots for all the 4.0 GPAs and of course 1600 SATs. And I think, but right now that Harvard and other elite institutions will not be using race as a factor in admission, so then you can expect that it will maybe the percentage of minorities will the number of minority students will decrease. I think after that, after the Supreme Court struck out the that is admission by race-based admissions, maybe struck down affirmative action, then I think Harvard changed, and I think the other top colleges, they changed, that is where you have to mark in your race. Now you just have to answer a short essay prompts, and I think maybe we will see the number of minorities that are admitted to Harvard. We will see the number of minorities. So basically, do you think Harvard should be less important? Should Harvard be less important so that we can promote other colleges around America? So let me know in the comment section. So bye for now, till the next episode.